a bit higher in the peloton, or the, well, it's a group left, isn't it? Just to give him a bit of sliding room on the sort of initial part of this climb. It's always more difficult to start, like the first 500-600 meters, maybe a kilometer of every climb. That's where it's at its most difficult, and then you settle into a rhythm and you kind of find your stride a bit.
So Dillier is finally going to be caught here, just under 15 kilometers from the finish line. Better news though for Remco Evenepoel if he has managed to get back on that descent. However, was it a legs issue? Was it a temporary issue? We're going to see, because we're climbing again now, and we've got to go climbing again after we drop down from this one. There it is, Dillier is done. Brilliant ride, hat off to the Swiss national champion. So what's next to happen here? Remco is suddenly back. Dillier done. Well played, man. Nilons riding on the front, the former Latvian national champ, representing Israel Premier Tech, and riding for his boss today, who is Jakob Fuglsang. Now keep your eye on the back of the bunch here and look for those blue and white jerseys of Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl. Where is Remco Evenepoel? That was Michael Matthews again fighting. Evenepoel is trying to move up on the left-hand side here. Certainly in a better position now. The right, as we look at it, he's moved almost halfway up the front of the bunch.
Yeah, being helped out by Van Wilder there. Still relatively far down the peloton.
Nervous moments really to see what happens, because this could be a big factor in the whole race. Came here as one of the favourites, and we mentioned earlier on that this was his biggest test in a stage race as one of the favourites, given that this is a big World Tour race. We know he's a monument winner now, but just keep your eye on him. There he is. He's got one teammate left helping him from Wilder.
Fair play to Michael Matthews. Fair play.
Nikias Arndt, fast finisher who can climb a little bit. Now then, another rider left-hand side here for Quick-Step. Just keep your eye on that. Matthews has just passed him. Dillier, well, he's going to have to soak up the applause now and make his way back in. Bell'azione, they say. It certainly was. Nice to see. Right, to the pointy end of things again. 14 kilometers to go, and we're going to have a new leader whatever happens. Stephen Williams dropped a long time ago. At the moment, pole position, Andreas Kron. He is the virtual leader on the road, but only 2 seconds behind him you have Geraint Thomas. And a whole host of riders on a handful of seconds as well.
Yeah, well, Leknesson is on the same time as Geraint Thomas.
Stage winner the other day. Well, that was quite some recovery, wasn't it, from Remco Evenepoel and his teammates there, because from the moment he was dropped, the gap looked to be opening quick, and it looked as though that could have been good night.
It did, but good reactions from his teammates, dropping back very, very quickly, getting you know, a handle on the situation, and really pressing on the descent early doors to get him back into the group again. Hopefully he's got a little bit of time to recover here on the descent, and there's a couple of kilometers or so of flat in between the climbs here.
This is the descent back into Chiasso. And once we're into town, we start the next climb, which is the one we've been over twice already, Pedrinate, the hardest climb on the lap. About 3 kilometers long, classified part of it anyway, with gradients up at almost 10%.
When I say there's a couple of kilometers of flat, it's 1 kilometer of flat in between by the time we come off this climb and we start the next one.
And here we go, we're onto it. Crossing town and going up the hill the other side. As simple as that. Not simple to pedal up it though. All eyes on the back of the bunch and Evenepoel. How is he going to react this time? "12 kilometers to go." Couple of border posts there in the picture. Customs posts as you come over from Cornwall. Lots of work. They're actually Italians who live over the border. They come to work and then go home at the end of the day. They've got to pass through those posts that you just saw. Lots of local bike riders will be up here as well at the weekends, taking on these different roads from over the border, and vice versa as well. Of course, you've got the famous roads of the Tour of Lombardy if you live in this part of Switzerland. Thibaut Pinot on the back. Under the Frontier train station. And very quickly we'll be heading up to the slopes of Pedrinate. It's the final 2 kilometers of this climb that are the hard ones. Still Israel Premier Tech leading, still Chris Nederlands who's in a great job. Behind him, ready to pull as soon as it's his turn, is Hugo Hull. Very strong ruler from Canada, who's got better and better at climbing as the years have gone on as well. He has Jakob Fuglsang on his wheel, and here are the vital stats: 2.5 kilometers long, the last 2 Ks the most difficult, and Israel Premier Tech are really lighting the afterburners here.
I think if Fuglsang wants to attack on this climb, it's going to have to be relatively early on to be able to open up a significant enough gap to then have any chance of holding that to the finish.
Bachar is being dropped at the back wearing number 94, the Frenchman. First year in Groupama colours for him. And that is Nederlands whose job is done. 10 kilometers to go. Remco Evenepoel in the middle of this bunch here on your picture. 134 there, the man on your screen is Matthew Holmes, had a good few days. And this is Hull, the aforementioned Canadian bike rider, doing his best now for his team leader Jakob Fuglsang, the Dane. Behind Thomas, Pidcock and Martinez, all still in the bunch. Looking too for Andreas Kohn, remember, who's about 3/4 of the way down the group. He is the virtual leader on the road, wearing the white jersey for the best young rider at the moment. And there's Evenepoel again.
Yeah.
In trouble for the second time. And on this occasion, I don't think he has any teammates. Just at the front of this group, Magnus.
And he's a long way to the top here as well.
I'll wait to get confirmation, but that looks very much like the style of Evenepoel, doesn't it? As Matthews dropped, and that is Remco Evenepoel, who is this time out of the game. So a good team performance from them as Aramburu has dropped. But Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl's teamwork unable to save the day for Remco Evenepoel. Harsh pace being put on here. Clément Berthet the next to try and hang on.
Tell you what, if this keeps together, I think Pidcock will be in with a shout of the finish today. He's looking pretty comfortable under the circumstances just on the wheel there of Geraint Thomas.
A lot of this work is being done for Jakob Fuglsang. Can he go? There is Pidcock, by the way, you mentioned him wearing number 3, right in the middle of those 3 riders who come from Ineos Grenadiers. And there's the reappearance of Jonas Aguirre after 4 bad days, 25 minutes lost. Still in the middle of the bunch. Alexander Vlasov sitting on the wheel of the German champion, who's Max Schachmann. Their teammate further back, that's Mark Hirschi in the UAE jersey. And Andreas Leknesund hanging in there, because behind him, the virtual leader on the road at the minute, Andreas Kohn. Pozzo Vivo remains. The other rider from Bora Hansgrohe is Felix Großschartner. Trek Segafredo rider struggling, who's Gianluca Brambilla just off the back there. Ulissi in front of him. And there's Thibaut Pinot. Adieu, goodbye. Not his day either. Kilometre from the top. A bad day on day 1, didn't he? Lost just over a minute. But there were quite a few riders in that same position. Fortunately today, not able to improve. And look at the state of Ugo Ull. It's a dripping tack, that.
He's doing a great job, though. Really good job for his team leader. But you wonder what is the tactics for it, though, because you know it's a good old descent and then a bit of sort of undulating roads before we start climbing back up towards the finish line. And the finish, I don't know about Europe, but I keep on looking at this one, and it reminds me more and more about the finish in Brabantse Pijl.
Yeah, the old Schave, now the S-Pen, and they come up the slightly easier road, which is very similar to the one that they finish on today. Now then, we've got moves. Andreas Leknesund is at it again. Absolutely brilliant. He wants to take the leader's jersey today.
I wonder if he spotted that Kron is maybe in just a little bit of difficulty and decides to have a go. But now look at this.
He's his own difficulty now, because Leknesund has been dropped already, and it's Fuglsang who goes, and already there's a split behind. Leknesund himself, after starting the party, is struggling to hold on to the back of this group, Magnus.
Yeah, but he's only got a couple of 100 meters to hold on to. I know that's easier said than done, but look, we're just cresting the top here.
Pidcock has reacted well. He's alongside Geraint Thomas. Max Schachmann is there on the wheel of Jakob Fuglsang. Thomas Pidcock in a great position to look for what only would be his 2nd professional victory, and the other one, as you were referring to a moment ago, the one he secured so far was at Brabantse Pijl. Riders in trouble out the back, including Diego Ulissi.
Cool, Carthy as well.
So Max Schachmann at the front, Alexander Vlasov on his wheel, and then a little bit of a split. Only a couple of bike lengths. That's quickly closed down by Thomas Pidcock. And there's only 15 riders max left at the front. Ulissi out here, Carthy you mentioned, there is Kung as well in the blue and white. This is one of the dropped groups. So descent coming up now, and then the rise to the line that Maggie was saying is very similar to that in the Brabantse Pijl, the semi-classic that comes normally just before we start Ardennes week. I think even though we haven't had a big mountain stage yet, Magnus, we've seen over the first few days who the strongest riders are at the Tour de Suisse, haven't we?
Yeah, I think so, with a couple of surprises on the opening stage, maybe. But yeah, the best riders are definitely in this group here now. I don't think it's any luck that you make it into a group like this. It's what you got in the legs.
Just over 7 kilometers to go. This is Schachmann. So unlucky in that crash. He was going great guns the other day, having taken the bonus seconds and had moved up into 2nd in the GC. He was only 2 seconds away from the lead, wasn't he?
Yeah. Fuglsang decides that this is dangerous with Pidcock and Schachmann.
Pidcock not an immediate danger in the GC at 1:29. Neither is Schachmann, so Thomas is well able just to look at those around him.
Yeah, but it's unnecessary to let someone like Schachmann and maybe even Pidcock let them get back into the game. I know Pidcock is a bit of an untried card at the altitude and sort of the length of climbs that we got coming up here now, especially with an eye of maybe racing for the GC. So, and if you let him come back into it, give him 30-40 seconds here now on this stage, and all of a sudden he starts to become another card that's possible to play for Ineos Grenadiers in the higher mountains. And I wouldn't do that, especially Schachmann as well. We know can do these one week long stage races.
Two-time winner of Paris-Nice is Max Schachmann. Group splitting up all the time. We get to this flatter area now, and it's the run-in back towards the final climb. Bit of looking around here, and of course in this situation, who does what, who works, who closes the moves down. This is where it can get immensely tactical. Dani Martinez is back. Quick chat then with Geraint Thomas, being followed by one of the riders from EF Education Easy Post. Both Paulus and Uran are in there.
Pico was, I think, playing a good team game there as well, just staying on the wheel of Schachmann, not doing any turns with him, not putting any pressure on the rest of the guys, because he knew if no one can respond, if no one can bring them back, then Schachmann is the danger man to Geraint Thomas as well for the next couple of days potentially.
Pozzovivo in here, Hirschi here, Higuita as well. Who rides? There's a stalemate now with just less than 5Ks to go. Izaguirre in at the back. He's no threat on the GC. As I mentioned several times, he's more than 25 minutes down.
You would have thought that Schachmann and Martinez would be the right guys to keep the pace going here, because as soon as you stop, these sort of little things here are very likely to happen. You get an attack coming, and yeah, these are dangerous. Like Pidcock has covered it, but then again, there's no point in him covering these kind of moves if Geraint Thomas isn't on the wheel.
Felix Korschartner was who came to the front there. Pidcock was straight on the wheel. Leknesson's made his way back, as you mentioned, and now Fuglsang, desperate to make it 2 from 2 for Israel Premier Tech. And we remind you that they're one of the teams who are threatened with this sort of relegation cloud hanging over their head. The minute, nobody's working together to chase him down.
No, they're not. Dangerous move to let Fuglsang get that sort of a gap.
Only with 4 kilometres to go as well. So Fuglsang is out there. Danish start. 10 seconds off the lead of the race as well. Remember, that's less now, given that Stephen Williams is out the game. He is 5 seconds off the lead of Andreas Kron on the road at the moment. I don't think Kron made it into that last group. So I think magnetic north is Geraint Thomas, really. Thomas and Leknesson.
Was that Vlasov? Yep.
This is Vlasov now. Thomas with him. Again, 2 riders from EF in there, both Paulus and Uran. It's all very tactical, this now, Maggie.
Yeah, very tactical, but it always turns out that way. If the pace isn't high enough, you know, consistently, then you get all these attacks, and it's so difficult to respond. Yeah.
He's made his way back onto the back of the group, and he's going after the yellow jersey. He knows it's under threat. A golden chance for him. 3 kilometres to go. Jakob Fuglsang leading on stage 5 of the Tour de Suisse down in Ticino. We started in Ambri in a cool hockey stadium. We've since been in 36-degree heat for several hours. We've had COVID positives, other riders out there. A shock with Remco Evenepoel being dropped on the penultimate climb. And we're approaching Novazzano, scene of the 1971 World Championship battle, with 190 kilometres almost on the clock now. Fuglsang started the day at 10 seconds down, but the leader, Stephen Williams, has already been dropped. He's out the way. This is Nielsen Paulus at the back. Geraint Thomas and Alexander Vlasov in front of him. Thomas, out of this group, stands to be the man who takes the race lead. if it comes across like this. But let's not forget there are bonus seconds. 10, 6 and 4. It could be Magnus across from me getting the calculator out when we finish here.
Yeah, it definitely could be. But at the moment, I think if it comes down to the sprint, then Fuglsang is also a danger man on that one.
The road starts to rise uphill here, and it doesn't really stop until the end. Jakob Fuglsang looking around. Yesterday it was a brilliant win for a 37-year-old from that team, and here he is, 2Ks to go.
Just watch his body language on the bike, though. He's so strong in his whole body, counter holding all the power that he's putting into the pedals, and there is nothing going to waste.
Alexander Vlasov going off in search of him. His teammate Max Schachmann trying to get some time back as well. It's Geraint Thomas who's being put to the test, who's responding fairly well, but Vlasov is looking good himself.
Yeah, Vlasov is looking very good.
Oh, wow, and he's straight onto the wheel of Jakob Fuglsang. 1.5 kilometers remain, and a group of 4.
Geraint Thomas always seems to take a little bit longer to respond to these attacks. He's kind of using that diesel horsepower that he's got to just winding his way back onto it. It's not necessarily always that explosive with it. Maybe it's a way of just not hurting himself too much, saving a little bit.
Great ride this from Nelson Paulus, by the way. One kilometre remains. A little bit of looking around. Schachmann making his way up. He'll just keep working at this as Vlasov waits and watches. Fascinating scenario this, and a bit further back down the road, these guys aren't out of it either. Certainly not in the GC stakes. It all depends on how much looking around there is here. It's Thomas on the left. Next to him in the blue and white, Fuglsang. And then in the pink you have Paulus, the American. The green, Vlasov. And coming up, the German champion on the right as we look at it. That familiar nodding dog style of Max Schachmann. 5-star riders at the front after 4.5 hours of racing around the World Championship country in the Mendrisiotto.
Having a bit of a chat on the final approach here.
It certainly ain't coffee ride stuff, this, though. Danny Martinez trying to take back whatever he can today, and Mark Hirschi also making a move up. But this is Group 3 here on the road. Group 2, including Jonas Aguirre making his way up. I think that was Corvi with him. Now then, this is the 1 kilometre to go, Banner.
That ticket must have been out by some margin then.
It's getting as excited as we are watching this, because Stefan Kung coming back, and look who's on his wheel. Zipping himself up, ready to go, Andreas Kron. What a fight it's been from the young Dane. So into this town here, onto the cobbles. They'll go through this narrow street, turn right, and then head up to the final 300 metres with that rise to the line again. Domenico Pozzovivo's returning too. So much looking around at the front. Schachmann then to the front now. Starts to put on the pace. He's going to make use of those numbers. It's Max Schachmann, Jakob Fuglsang, Alexander Vlasov. Schachmann, who was so unlucky the other day in the crash that happened with just 4 kilometers to go, missing out on getting the same time. This is the final turn they'll all take. It's Schachmann there who starts out the pedals. Third wheel, his teammate is going to be looking to try and do something, Alexander Vlasov. Remember that the yellow jersey's up for grabs here. It's Schachmann leading it out. On his wheel is Fuglsang, who's primed to go and ready. Behind is Thomas as well, with Paulus at the back. But it's Vlasov who's coming up here. Alexander Vlasov with an opportunity to take something. Paulus is gaining though. We go to 100 meters to go. It's Vlasov at the front. Paulus trying to come around the other side. Vlasov fighting to stay there. Alexander Vlasov going to the line. Paulus gaining. Vlasov has it. Wonderful win for Bora Hansgrohe, who cannot stop celebrating at the moment. So tense and so tactical in the end that in terms of time there's hardly a difference. It's more or less as we were between the big names, but Alexander Vlasov does it. Alexander Vlasov takes the bonus seconds and wins stage 5 of the Tour de Suisse. Where does that leave him with the overall? Because if you see here, Leknesund, who was at 7 seconds, comes across. Thomas, I don't think got any bonus seconds there. I have a feeling that Vlasov could be the new leader.
Yes, I think so. And then we got Paulus, who was in there as well, getting a couple of seconds, but he was at 34 seconds before the start. Yeah, I think it's Vlasov taking the jersey. Fuglsang going second. No, actually, I think Geraint Thomas.
Well, we will see. We will see. We will see. But it looks as though Vlasov has won the stage. Nilsen Paulus comes in second. Jakob Fuglsang finishes third. Bora Hansgrohe are on top of the world again. Now, these are riders who are dropped on their way in, fighting hard and fighting for every placing and every point and every second. Remember, there are Tour de France places up for grabs. And Alexander Vlasov, he likes racing in Switzerland, doesn't he? This man, however, came here with big ambitions. But Remco Evenepoel is going to lose over 2 minutes today. Can there be a recovery? Can he bounce back? That's the question over the next 2 days posed to Remco Evenepoel. Alexander Vlasov in bloom since he arrived at Bora Hansgrohe. He won the Tour de Romandie with a final stage time trial victory. He was a winner earlier on in his days at Bora Hansgrohe at the Volta alla Comunità Valenciana. He is absolutely flying, and he's on his way to the Tour de France as a serious contender. Great teamwork again from Max Schachmann here. And Alexander Vlasov, I am informed, will be the new leader. It will be Vlasov, Fuglsang, Thomas. So Vlasov takes the stage win, takes the yellow jersey. Bora Hansgrohe are in command. They have 3 riders inside the top 7. Fighting fit, chasing glory.
What an interesting finish, though, because I think just about everyone was on their last little bit of energy. Otherwise, I don't think they would have sat up and looked at each other for as long as they did there, and borderline allowing the group behind to come back into the mix again. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow now.
We have 3 wonderful stages still to come, but at the end of day 5, and a hotly contested affairs won by Alexander Vlasov. Nilsen Paulus in second. He's